brilliant that we can use for social. That could happen. That does happen sometimes. And so we're just going to be, okay. No, nothing. Are we ready? Like, do you need, okay, we're recording. You don't need any like room tone or anything. No. You got your room tone. Okay. She'll get her room tone. Okay. We're not gamblers. I was just in Las Vegas. I was speaking at an AI conference and I was with my boat also speaking there. And I was like, what are the chances that you're going to put $5 down on like a blackjack table? He was like, 0. I was like, oh, okay, I guess I'm not going to either. But I just so respect that you guys threw some money in the slot machine.
It's really Mike. Mike's like, look, you got to come to my lucky machine.
And then you did.
Yes.
All right. Well, there's a lot to learn about the two of you. So let me say this. Do you know much about this podcast? Let me just tell you. Let me give you context. From startup to grown up, I wrote a book that came out 3 years ago, and then I interviewed founders for my book, and I loved it so much that I started I invented podcasting. Nobody will think of that. And so
no one gives you credit.
I know, no one gives you credit. Exactly. So I've interviewed coming up on 90 founders on their personal growth journeys from startup to grown up, including Gary Vaynerchuk, who I know is a friend of yours. And I release him to the world. And like, I think it's just a beautiful thing to sort of like share the story of entrepreneurship. Yeah. So I'm an author myself, so I know what it is to launch a book. You guys are coming out with June 4th, June 5th, June 3rd, June 3rd. And you invited me to that great event. Thank you. I hope I can come. That's Tech Week. Everyone's doing an event on Monday.
Yes.
But anyway, I hope I can come. It was nice of you to invite me. I'm sure it will be, 100%. So I've got a bunch of questions. I read the book. I read 2/3 of the book. Okay, but I did read the book.
I haven't read the book.
And I want to know, besides just the normal things, if you have any specific goals for this discussion.
No, I mean, we're just happy to be here.
Yeah, let's just make it interesting.
Yeah.
Let's make good content.
Yeah, let's try to make it interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we got nothing.
I'll also remember at the end, what I also do is I post like little interviews on LinkedIn, which get a lot of views. So let's try to remember at the end to also do a little video, maybe with each of you separately.
Great.
Okay? Okay. So in a second, I'm going to say welcome to the show. And you go by Kass, and you go by Mike.
Mike, yeah.
It's easy. Alyssa.
Yes.
Like Melissa with no M. You did your research. Appreciate that. Okay, Kass and Mike, welcome to the show. I'm so excited to have you here.
Thank you for having us.
I can't wait to sort of cover all this material. I wanted to set the context. You two are co-founders in work and life. You're a husband and wife team. And you founded a number of companies, including maybe the most well-known Buddy Media, which was sold to Salesforce for a cool $750 million, not a bad day's work. And now you're investors in multiple companies, and now you're authors of this new book called, I'm just going to say it out loud, Shoveling Shit, a love story about the entrepreneur's messy path to success. And I want to start by asking each of you, why a love story? What do you love the most about entrepreneurship?
So there's really beauty in this struggle. I often say that entrepreneurs shovel all day long. And, what that means is they come in, with this positive attitude that they're going to get stuff done. They get punched in the face 10 times. They'll have one mini win. And really, it's about the resilience. And so it's the loving of the shoveling, that you keep doing it day in and day out. And it gives you purpose and it gives you passion. So we thought it was like our ode to entrepreneurs.
I love that. I had Gary Vaynerchuk, who I know is a friend of yours, on my show also. And one thing he said was, I love the whole thing. I love the stress. I love the boring meetings. I love, sort of the whole thing. And that's your point. You have to love the shoveling and the journey. Mike, what about you?
Well, I think you grow to love it. And Kass and I, this was our relationship. So we started dating many years ago. We've been married 25, together for 28, 29. Don't quote me. And we started a business while we were still dating. And so for us, we had to, in many ways, try to have a life outside of the company. Could have been all consuming. And so what we're trying to do with the 50 cheat codes is not only help entrepreneurs excel at work, but also have a life worth living. What's the purpose of making money and being successful if you hate your life? Yeah. And so a lot of the cheat codes are actually not work at all. It's how to build relationships. We talk about our date nights, Wednesday and Saturday night, and how we protected that time. We put it on the calendar. Yeah. Right. So all of these cheat codes that we learned the hard way health. We were not very healthy and had to build relationships, which didn't come easy for us because it was all work. We had to say, listen, we got to step away or else we're going to burn out and we're going to burn the relationship out.
Yeah.
And just because we're married doesn't mean that other co-founders who aren't married have it any easier. It's actually just as hard for them.
And in some ways, I mean, I would say just because you're married, you're not immune from the challenges.
Exactly.
For that plague co-founders. And in some ways, I'm sure it's even more stressful. So I definitely want to talk about that. But before I do, I actually want to ask you said we started a company together when we were dating. So not recommended, very, very unusual. But didn't you each have your own entrepreneurial ventures before that, before you even dating?
Yes.
Yeah. Tell us about that.
So I had opened up the interactive arm of an agency before. So I was very young. I was probably 24-ish, and I got to run that whole arm and start it and building websites. This was 1996. So that was like my first journey into it. And Mike started his first company in college.
Yeah, I was always entrepreneurial. I remember writing when I was 13 years old to the board of Sallie Mae Student Loan Marketing Association, public company, saying they need a student on their board.
That's a great idea.
And I got a rejection letter saying thanks, but no thanks. And
by the way, polite of them, by the way.
And I went to journalism school at Northwestern University, McGill School of Journalism, and the internet was happening. And there are times in our lives where you're part of a trend. To me, it was obvious the internet was going to be something. Not obvious to a lot of people, definitely not obvious to the newspaper industry at the time. And so I started a company, and what was great about that company, it just forced me to get things done. So I recommend to all young people who want to start businesses, start a business. Stop talking, just do something. It doesn't matter whether it's a lemonade stand, whether it's a resale business, whether it's an app company, do something, because what you'll learn you'll be able to use in other companies.
Yeah.
And, we say all the time that we're a 30-year overnight success story. So it's taken many, many, many years. What we're trying to do with the book is help people avoid mistakes.
I love that. I can relate to that. My book, From Startup to Grown Up, I sort of tell people I wanted them to avoid unforced errors.
Yes.
Yeah.
Especially in the topic of leadership.
Were you a tennis player?
No.
Unforced errors is a big term in the tennis world, so I thought maybe.
Oh, that's fascinating.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Tell me more about that.
It's just
you were
I was a tennis player. Yes, I was a tennis player in college and a little bit after. It's all about your unforced errors. It's the same thing as missing putts in golf. You're trying not to you're trying to basically not have yourself lose the match. Right. So I think that's what you're saying.
Exactly. So the two of you were obviously entrepreneurial, and then you started dating, and wasn't it that you had started golf.com?
Yes.
So tell us about the coming together of golf.com, and then we're going to get to the dramatic finish denouement of that.
So it was, I just moved there, so it was 1998, and I started working for the interactive arm of Leo Burnett at that time. And we were playing a lot of golf. That was how we started dating, right? We were playing lots of golf, and I would track all of our stats because I was a crazy golfer, recreational golfer. We didn't have any place to do this online, and I kept sending it to my brother and my father, and Mike and I, and put all our stats, and I'd get it back, and I'm like, wait, I'm in last place. This isn't right. So I said to Mike one day, wouldn't it be great if we could track all this online? And he goes, I think we can. And let's syndicate that content. So that's what we did. That was the start of golf.com.
By the way, was golf.com easy to get as a domain name?
So our company started off as GolfServe. And then a couple of years in, we actually got the right to buy the domain, which was great because domains meant something back then.
Totally. How much did you buy it for?
What was it?
$289,000.
Yeah.
Wow.
Cash.
Okay. As opposed to the millions. I mean, hundreds of millions at this point.
It was actually part of an auction process.
Yeah.
And it was one of these we don't go to a lot of these court-run auction processes, but we saw that it was coming up, and we were ready to bid up to $1 million.
Yeah.
Which we didn't have. So we kind of got investors to put up some of the money. And when we won it at $289,000, we were just like,
"This is the greatest thing ever."
Did we just do that? Did that just because we knew how valuable it is. It was being sold by NBC. So think about that.
That's
they
crazy.
were broadcasting tour events, and they were basically saying, "We don't think the internet's going to be anything."
Totally, they were voting against the internet.
Exactly. Why do we need this domain? One word domain of a popular sport.
that rich people play.
Right.
Before behavioral targeting online.
I'm going to bookmark this because I want to hear the story about golf.com, but I just want to note that, like, you know, you two, both of you kind of voting for a trend as opposed to against a trend is very interesting to me. I want to talk about that later, but I want to also just understand. So you were basically like created a website. People could like what just
so
like
we created,
capture their scores.
We definitely had a website. It was all golf content, so you could follow all the leaderboards of all the big golf tournaments that were going on. You could track your game. We actually went up against the USGA handicap and then forced them to allow official USGA handicaps online. And you could book tee times. You could look up courses because, you know, golfers are fanatical. They want to see the course, the slope, the rating. They don't want to see how hard it's going to be. And so we provided this content on our site, but then we took the content and syndicated it to all the large like newspapers out there.
USAtoday.com used our golf stuff as their golf section.
Got it.
With the idea that if we can aggregate enough rich people, we could sell ads.
Yeah.
Before a time where you could like buy audience segments.
Yeah.
Which is how people buy it today.
Right. That makes sense. Okay. So then you created this golf.com, and I'm sure it was working for you. Wait, but before we get there, it's like this was your idea, and you guys had to do it together, and you were dating. Did you at any moment think, I don't know if this is a good idea?
I don't think we thought. Okay. We were young.
Yeah.
I was 22.
I definitely didn't think it was wrong. I just was like,
didn't
I came home, you know, my usual behavior was I'd come home from work, I'd complain to him, I'd ask how we'd solve it, and that was that.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly. So then it was just normal for you to get business together. So then you got into business together, and then you have this golf.com, and then Eureka, the entrepreneurial moment, you got bought.
Yes. Within a year and a half.
A year and a half. Incredible.
Big, .com boom. This is like the greatest thing. This
was in 99?
Yes. Yeah. December 23rd, 1999. Oh, yeah. We'd been married 3 months to the day. And myself, Mike, and our other co-founder, Mike Kass, we all were like, wow, we did it. I think it was like a $10 million stock deal or something crazy, like low, or $20 million stock deal. But we thought like, okay, chipshot.com just bought us. They're Sequoia-based. They're going public. They have their filing ready. This is it.
This is it. Yes. The moment. And the deal was closed.
Yes. And our board said, like, all stock. This is what we want to do.
Yeah. And you were like living the dream.
And the three of us owned like 80% of the company.
Yeah. So that was like everything was happening. But then you got a phone call, a fateful phone call. What happened?
So it was March, and I got a phone call.
So it was 3 months later.
3 months later.
Okay.
And just so you know, in those 3 months, when you do an acquisition and you're like merging and transitioning, they like take over your bank account. So we're no longer paying our employees payroll. And we're excited because it'll be like one of the first times we actually get paid. Right. So we weren't even taking payroll back then. Very different now with founders. And no FaceTime or Zoom. So the phone call happens and I hit speaker, and it was the president, it was Brian Stroud. And he says, hey guys, I'm going to cut to the point. Sequoia backed out. We pulled our filing, and in a week we go bankrupt. And I'm sorry, you're going to be in bankruptcy. And I'm like, what? And he said, yeah, we don't have any more money to pay you or any of your employees.
It's incredible to think about how that felt in that moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was pretty angry. I remember, I think the first thing I thought was, what are we going to do for our employees? Because Mike and I were used to like living off of like nothing. And then I think I got angry. And I think that's the competitive side of me. Like the athletic side of me was like, oh no, I am not going to have someone else make me lose.
Yeah. That's right. What a great reaction. That's like a very entrepreneurial reaction. I do have like a question here. I'm like saying to myself, Sequoia backed out? Like, what really happened? Do we know?
So we don't know what really happened, but they were closing a big financing.
Okay.
And the financing...
They chip shot.
Yeah. So they had a little money when we did the deal, but we met with their investors, and they were all in on this company. And this company was manufacturing knockoff golf clubs in Silicon Valley at a fraction of the cost of what TaylorMade or Titleist would sell them to. And they were selling a lot of them. I think they got the company to 100 million of sales.
Yeah.
At the same time, the environment was like AI meets Taylor Swift in terms of the internet.
Yeah.
People were losing their mind. Anything with a .com was going to the moon. And so you had eToys.com and all these companies that we've now know what happened. They crashed and burned. Pets.com.
Right.
They were multi-billion-dollar companies. And so we're like, oh, chipshot.com, golf. Why aren't we going to be a multi-billion-dollar company?
Yeah.
When you don't live through stuff, right? I'm 24 at this point. You just think things go up and to the right.
Sure.
And so we were very bullish. There was no level of due diligence which would have kept us from doing the deal, I believe, as we look back. And Don Valentine, who was one of the founders of Sequoia, basically pulled back on a bunch of investments because, there was a feeling that this was going to crash.
Yeah,
right?
that they were in a bubble.
And a month later, April of 2000, everything crashed. NASDAQ lost 50%. And so it was, whether they'd gone public or not, it was not going to be a great outcome. Now, when we got the call, we were both in shock, but also not paralyzed by fear. We just hit the ground running to try to raise money to buy it back, which we did. And so we learned more in that experience of what you have to do as an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Kind of stuff hits the fan. I can say it, shit hits the fan. And you deal with it.
Yeah.
And if you're lucky, you could shovel it, but when it hits the fan, it goes everywhere. And you can't control it, so you have a lot of cleanup to do.
Yeah, lots of nice visuals. Were you going to say something else?
Well, I was going to say, I think I know Mike's mind. I remember Mike and Mike Casper were sitting there, and they were huddling on the side, and I was just getting more angry and angry, and I was like, I go back in time. As an operator, you always look at pathways, how do I move forward? And I kept going back, thinking, did I miss something
how
here?
Did we miss this?
Yeah.
Well, it does make more sense to me to understand kind of the timing, and that Sequoia probably had some insight or whatever. And they pulled away.
Definitely did.
Yeah. It's completely obnoxious.
And
right?
and also, I will say this now, Monday morning court. Shame on us for not also watching what was happening in the world.
Yeah.
And thinking we were immune to it.
Yeah.
Right? Nowadays, I think we're much better prepared. Obviously, this is 30 years later, but we tell all of our founders, you gotta watch what's going on in the trends here. You got to be able to predict if something's going to happen, like the tariffs that are happening. So,
yeah, I think that's such important information. That's such important insight. And I can see how, with hindsight, you realize we should have been looking at the landscape, and that's important.
We were just kind of flying high. They wanted us to all move out to what was it called, Sunnyvale, California, and I was trying to convince them not to.
We looked at houses.
We looked at how, all this kind of stuff, and our heads were down instead of lifting up and being like, "What is this?"
Of course, no, it's so. But then you got back on the horse, as you said, and what you both said in different ways is, well, so of course, we're basically you're bankrupt. Mm-hmm. And let's also say, I won't say demoralized. Demoralized.
Yes.
Your employees are going to find out, and they're going to be demoralized.
Right.
I know that one of your family members sued you, right? So lots of, as you said, stuff hitting the fan, right? Yeah. And yet both of you could have just retreated and licked your wounds and lived another day. There's you didn't have any money anyway, so whatever.
Yeah.
I am curious, what was the drive that made you say, we're going to take this bankruptcy thing, this nothing, and raise more money, which was not going to be advantageous to you, and rebuild it?
I'm uber competitive. And again, so I just couldn't believe that someone else made me lose.
Yes.
And it just seemed like a silly thing. And I don't know, I was angry, and I'm like, let's do this. And I don't know, Mike, what about you?
So we're built differently. I'm not as competitive.
No, you're not. I
am also much more laid back.
Yeah.
And a few years earlier, I'd almost died. I had an artificial heart valve put in, and my outlook changed. And a big part of that outlook was what's the worst thing that can happen? Even if this company goes under, I'm still alive, which I shouldn't be. I happen to be caught with zero kind of blood pressure by my doctor, and they didn't.
So Mike, tell that story.
Yes, I was born with a congenital heart defect, a VSD, which is a hole in between the two ventricles, and that caused aortic valve damage. They went in when I was 19, which is a few years before this, and fixed the VSD, noticed the valve damage, and 8 days after that surgery, my aortic valve burst. You need your aortic valve. Without the aortic valve,
it's essential.
What happens is the oxygenated blood goes back into the heart, and you're pumping unoxygenated blood to the body, which is bad. Your body needs oxygen. And so I happened to be at my doctor's office when it burst.
which is crazy.
Which is
That's
nuts.
Yeah.
Because if I was sleepy, I would have been dead. If I was anywhere else, I would have been dead. And they rushed me to Georgetown University Hospital. I didn't want to get surgery. My mom said, shut the fuck up. I wouldn't like you're getting surgery.
Yeah.
She's like that. Nancy Zirkin. Love you, Nancy Zirkin. And
So much is coming out in this conversation.
you know,
Okay, yeah.
and kind of 3 hours later and one bottle of wine for my mom later, I have a new artificial valve.
Yeah.
She says I came out of that surgery totally changed. I was a stress ball beforehand. I had an ulcer at one point, and I came out.
As a young kid.
As a young kid. And so I came out, it's like, life's good.
Wow.
Like, let's go.
Yeah.
And I've questioned her a lot over the last 30 years.
Yeah.
And she said it was night and day.
Really?
Night and day. That she will recall many stories of him being too anxious to do something, so stressed out he didn't go out, everything.
And
then
I was like happy afterward. Like I had a girlfriend at the time. I told you that. You know
she
this,
was
Cass. Kicked out of the hospital because she would come and we'd have fun in the hospital. So I was just like happy, right? I was like,
Wow.
let's live.
Wow.
And so when this happened with Chip Shot, for me, it's like, okay, let's go. Like we just have to go and get it done.
So you both got there with different ways,
Yes.
basically. But both of you were aligned, like, we're going to get this done.
Oh, yeah.
So what was the process of getting it done? You had to find new investors.
we had to first tell the employees.
Right.
And so we've always treated other people with, respect in terms of information. We believe that information is power. So we went out right away. They were going to see it on our faces. And we explained everything. We didn't hide anything. And we said, this was our plan. Anyone who wants to leave, go to a bar, like, you're welcome to. We had about 25 employees at the time, and not one walked out over those 3 months. So we didn't pay people for 3 months, and they stayed with us.
Why do you think that is?
Well, I think it's relationship based. If you treat people really well, and then you create an environment in which they like to work versus don't like to work, and you can't predict that every day is going to be great, but they make relationships, and so work doesn't seem as awful or dreaded. And I think that's what we had. I also think there were just some incredibly loyal people that wanted to see this through. And lastly, I think they were learning. Everybody was sprinting to learn something new. This was like crazy. Like everybody was doing something that they kind of had some expertise in, but then you pile on the fact that this is the internet, we have no idea what's going on.
Yeah.
Then you just kept pushing yourself. And I think that some of those employees really loved that.
Yeah, I can see that. And so you went and told the employees.
Yeah.
And then you
Hit the road.
Hit the road.
But telling employees is a huge lesson.
Yeah.
That we took forward because, and I remember Kass said, we have to let everyone know. And first I'm like, oh, how do we not let them know? Because this isn't good news. But you have to let them know, both because they're not getting paid. And if as a leader, you're holding back information, it's going to come out anyway.
Yeah.
No matter how bad. And so people are okay with bad news, especially in the innovation economy. People are not okay with surprises.
Yeah.
So if all of a sudden it's payday and they're like, hello,
Yeah.
where's my money? We're like, oh, sorry, it's coming. Like, no. Like, then everyone would have left because we violated their trust. Kass, her instinct right away was radical transparency. Everyone's in it with us. And that earned us a lot of respect, even though people didn't love the news as we didn't.
Yeah, of course. I guess, and I know that you have a strong value, both of you, around radical transparency
Yes.
and complete transparency. Is there ever a time not to be fully transparent?
Yeah.
What are some examples?
When we talk about radical transparency, we're talking about sharing the good and the bad of the business and treating employees like they're the board. We would go into our quarterly all-team meetings with hundreds of people, where people fly in from Singapore office, from everywhere, and we would present financials. How much money's in the bank,
runway,
where we are against plan, how many customers churned, all of that stuff. And people felt empowered and trusted. And other entrepreneurs who we're friends with were like, why would you ever do that? It's going to leak to the press. And it never leaked because they felt like they're part of this, like, our companies have a family feel. It's like mom and dad. And especially now, they're gray and everything. But at the time, they looked at us as leaders they wanted to be associated with.
Yeah.
And we were never, it was never a democracy.
Yeah.
Like, I look at really Kass as a benevolent dictator in many ways.
Thanks, hon. I'll remember that one.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
better, yeah. And she's also a cicada. She emerges every 17 years with ideas. But, you know,
It's a lot here.
Yeah.
there's a lot
I'll
here.
give you a chance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think, you know, Kass as a leader made decisions.
Yeah.
She listened to people, but too many companies now, it's like leadership by committee or by
crowdsourcing.
democracy.
Yeah.
And I don't know if we're kind of pressure testing democracy on the national level. It definitely doesn't work at companies.
Yeah, I think that is just a misguided attempt at sort of quote unquote being nice to people
Yeah.
and creating that
Yeah.
family feel. And I think that founders just get confused about
I mean-
both being nice but also being decisive.
Yeah, I mean, of course, we never shared HR issues.
Yeah.
Like that was all private. But you know, we would come out of meeting. We had very small offices, and we'd have investors come in. And I would remember, I'd just walk around saying, "Hey guys, investors are coming in," and someone would be like, "Well, why are investors coming in?" And I'd say, "Because you're always fundraising." They're like, "Well, didn't we close something 2 months ago?" I said, "Yeah, this is just Mike and me making relationships." I don't think most founders do that. I think they would never acknowledge that somebody could actually see who someone is coming in through the room and get nervous or be like, wait, what does this mean for me? And I think we were very, very good at just being honest and explaining what was happening.
Yeah. And that builds trust.
Big time.
Of course.
And
yeah.
especially the trust, it's the bad times that you need that trust.
Yeah, for sure.
Right? My dad used to say, easy to win during the good times when you're playing well, right?
Yeah.
It's the bad times where you've lost a lot of customers, or you have to raise more money, or you have to pivot. Like the pivots are the hardest thing operationally to do. And if you don't have that trust, people are going to leave.
Yeah, totally. Was there ever a time where you were not transparent and then you regretted it or it kind of came back to bite you?
Well, we were on a phone call with the new golf.com board after we raised all the money. And we had Matt Surovich talking to us, and I remember it very well. I was sweating.
He's a New York hedge fund guy.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we're very scared of him.
We were very scared of him
Terrifying,
and his
Now
partner.
we're friends with some of those creatures.
Yeah. and Jeremy Minage. And they were asking about the company, and I went through all the details, and then he asked about sales, and I was like, well, it's okay. Like, Mike, why don't you give an update? And then Mike
It was a little rosy of an update, and he lost his, you know what, and he slammed the table and said, "Don't shine the turd."
Don't shine the turd.
Like, I want all the information.
Which is one of their
good,
book
bad.
chapters, guys.
Yeah, and it became actually a motto going forward, where like, if it's bad news,
Just
say
tell
it's
us.
bad news.
Yeah.
Like, get it in. And as a leader, you have to name the bad news. You have to take responsibility for the bad news, and you have to communicate a plan of what you're going to do about it.
Yeah.
You can't try to like put a cowboy hat on it and say, "Oh no, it's like doing a rodeo thing."
Yeah, that kind of rigor is really important. So
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
have a plan and you've thought it through and you have
telling
something
all
to
your
say
employees to
about
do the same in meetings.
it. Right. Yes, I mean, there's so much there around like when the leader doesn't do that, but expects their employees to do that, 100%. So, okay, you raise the money, and this is still for golf.com. We got to get to Buddy Media, but like golf.com, you raise the money, and then you put it back together, and what ultimately kind of came from that?
So we got very lucky on the fundraise.
Luck seems to be a role in your life.
In everyone's life.
I guess that's true.
I mean, in everyone's life.
You make your own luck.
And I think we made some of it, but we didn't have relationships with investors. And so we hit the road, and we just had a lot of meetings, and we met a VC in Chicago named Keith Bank, who was a golfer trying to play the top 100 courses. He liked it, and then introduced us to a top lawyer who was a leader at Medina Country Club, which is like a fancy country club in Chicago. It's where they played the US Open. And he's like, "I'll do a lunch with my golf buddies." And literally between those two contacts, we raised $1.5 million to get restarted. Everyone else said no. So we got like 100 no's, but we happened to find some golfers who were rich, who wanted to throw in some money. And then the second part of golf.com that we got lucky is there was this kid named Tiger Woods.
Yeah.
And Tiger Woods at the time was a global icon. as big in the media as Taylor Swift is today. People don't realize, like, when he was winning, the first time he won the Masters in a runaway by 12 strokes, first time anyone who looked like that, a black kid, had won a PGA Tour or a major event. And he had a lot of sponsors. And those sponsors wanted to amplify their relationship with Tiger. Where did they go online? Golf.com. And that's really, without Tiger, Golf.com does not exit for $25 million a few years later.
Amazing. It's like if you had had soccer.com, that wouldn't have been the time, right? The time happened to be right for golf.
Right.
That's fascinating. So how did you exit? How did you ultimately resolve that?
Well, every time we would go up against a deal, and this is way back where we were like serving our own ads. So I was serving ads on DoubleClick. Again, something that I never knew how to do before. And Mike would sell, to the big, like a lot of car companies, right? They want to reach golfers. And he would be going up against Time Inc. that owned Golf Magazine. And they owned Golf Online.
And Condé Nast.
And Condé Nast.
Golf Digest.
And he would win on all the bids. And so they
Not
were...
all of them, some of them.
Most of them.
Plenty of them.
Plenty of them. I love that. Nice compromise. And
please say more.
And basically, he kept beating him. And the next thing you know, Golf, Online, Time Inc. was like, we want to buy you.
Yeah, Julie Hansen, who went on, great executive, not just because she bought us, but went on to run great companies, Business Insider, Bumble. We love Julie.
Got it. And so that's how you got bought by Time Inc. You said.
Yeah, but
right?
it was no like flowers and roses. I mean, we got down to 4 people.
Yeah.
So I was like working, booking ads, running the company, doing all the financials, figuring out the marketing. Mike was doing
having
all
babies.
I was having babies. And Mike...
You had 2 babies during that period.
Yes,
right.
I did.
Yeah.
And, this was like we kept laying people off because the ad industry was just coming back in 2005, late 2005.
Because I just want to also clarify for everybody who doesn't remember, like there was that .com bubble and the .com bust. And so nobody was advertising anymore.
Nobody
was
was
like the internet's over.
Yeah,
that's
it was like done.
Amazon.bomb.
Right.
It took until like 2003, 4
for the ad business to come back.
And our revenue, we cobbled together a few $1 million, right?
Yeah.
Like, I think our biggest year was like $2.5 million, $3 million.
Do you remember when I had to go, like, we were like watching paycheck to paycheck and watching like payroll check to everything. And I think I showed up at I think I flew from Chicago to New York to get payment once because, everyone was holding on to their payments.
Yes.
Because it was
Kass
such
would show up at offices.
I'd be like,
say, I'm not leaving until we pay
get the
us.
check paid.
You're just like me. I can totally relate to that. I can totally relate to that. So I guess I am curious because you sold it to like we were about to say, I sold it to Time Inc. Ta-da, move on. But you're saying no. We had 4 people left.
Yes.
It was like I had to go fly in to get money.
Yeah.
And I am curious, wasn't there a moment that you thought, okay, this is just not worth it?
I think neither of us are quitters. I think I would have thought it like I was a quitter. I think I was really tired. I mean, I just had our second kid and we would be in an office that was just about this size and doing our work every day. I think I was really, really, really tired. That's about it.
Okay, just tired, but you're going to keep going.
Yeah, tired.
You just don't quit.
You just keep doing it.
We're generating revenue. We believed in it. We thought the internet was here to stay, and we thought we'd build a business.
I also would tell Mike, like, okay, Mike, like, you gotta see what we're going. Like, look out for land. We've got to go somewhere here. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But then we started winning all these ad dollars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then it felt like when you say look out for land,
I always think of us like on a ship, like Mike's in the front.
Yeah.
He's like looking left, right, which way we should go. And then he'll turn around and say to me, okay, right. And then I help everyone kind of turn and get on the same rhythm.
She does all the work. Paddle right, paddle left.
Pretty much.
Yeah, nice life. Yeah. But I guess what I mean by that is that you wanted him to.
I wanted him to say like
land the plane.
Yeah, land the plane, and also he's really great at consuming information and seeing where things are going before they actually happen.
Yeah.
So he kept saying to me like this. The ad business is coming back strong. I promise you. I know I would. Mike Casper and I'd be like, yeah, sure, Mike. Okay, whatever. And then it did. And so he kept giving us glimmers of hope because we saw he's just started winning all these deals.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay. And so then you sold the company, and I appreciate you said that about the trends and like sort of seeing what's coming. Because Mike, I have a question for you. So Kass is busy giving birth to your third child in a C-section. Mm-hmm. And you're sitting there musing about this thing called Facebook. And I am so curious, like, I'm going to throw my cards here. When I heard about this thing called Facebook, I thought, literally, who would ever do that? Mm-hmm. And it took me 3 years to even get onto Facebook. And for years, it was just about like seeing my old high school friends or whatever.
Right.
But you seem to have a different perspective than I did. What did you see about Facebook that you knew was going to be something? And how did that turn into Buddy Media?
So I had a company in college, a student company, and we had made an attempt to do that type of service. It's called the Main Quad. It was the web service that came out of UWire. I kind of was working with some San Francisco entrepreneurs, and we could never get it to work. And one of the big reasons was identity. You couldn't figure out who was who. And what we've seen in the internet, the anonymous internet's an ugly place. Mm-hmm. And so it just never worked. There was abuse. There was like guys doing the stuff that guys do. And it was just not great. What Mark, I think, really honed in to is this idea that everyone wants to belong. And the ticket to entry was your real identity. And you connected with people in your real life. So it's this virtual representation of real life relationships. And that is what got me so excited. They had mapped real relationships for the first time ever. And he got up on stage on May 24th, 2007 and called on developers to build applications using the social graph. And I immediately said, this is a new internet, because instead of playing solitaire alone, you could play, Scrabble with friends through the computer. Mobile phones weren't as big. The iPhone hadn't launched, right? But this whole idea that you as a developer could have send functionality to friends and recruit friends to do stuff was just big. And Kass was busy. I know. I would have talked to her earlier, but she was delivering C-sectionally. And she gets wheeled back in with this, probably our most beautiful baby, baby-wise.
I think
she was...
Yeah, she was good.
Yeah, she was cute. I can't say that about the boys.
That's not true. Cole was very cute. Miles got a little banged up.
Yeah, he's a little banged up. But they're all fine now.
Okay.
And
they're all handsome and pretty people.
And I said, I got it. I wouldn't go that far. But I said, I got it. She goes, what? Like food for me?
I thought it was going to be sushi.
Like she hadn't,
like he had
soft
ordered
cheeses she hadn't eaten in 9 months.
Right.
And I go, no, I got our new business. And she just shook her head, gave me the "you're the worst person in the history of the world" look. Mm-hmm. 3 months later, she's building desks in Columbus Circle, and that was the first office. And what's great about the relationship is I could never do this without Kass. Like, you need an operator. It's all about operations. You also need revenue and ideas. And so we really work well together. And there was trust in that decision, because I think she also saw social media as a new trend that was just about to happen in a big way. Mm-hmm. And so she's a radical realist. I wouldn't call her a dreamer. She's not a pessimist at all. So it's not that she's a pessimist, just she's not an optimist like me or as much of one. And good ideas she embraces.
Yeah. And so it sounds like you had a prepared mind for the idea of what sort of the idea of the social internet or whatever could be. And social media didn't catch you by surprise, and you saw the possibility of it.
Yes. And I also think that I've been very fortunate to be around entrepreneurs. And when entrepreneurs who are much smarter than you start to focus on something, you should focus on it.
Yeah.
Right. And at the time, there was a guy named Mark Pincus, who's still around. It's not that he's gone anywhere, but he was living in New York. And his girlfriend at the time worked for Hachette. And so we were spending some time together.
Hachette, the publishing company.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Mark went on to do Zynga. right?
The gaming company. Which was all the
And
rage.
he invested in Buddy Media. We were supposed to invest in Zynga and never got that call. I don't know what happened, Mark. But
Mark, if you're out there.
he called Fred Wilson instead, and Fred got the deal. But a lot of entrepreneurs like that were circling this thing called Facebook. And I was like, okay, if these smart people, and they're much smarter than me, like I can hustle and outwork anyone, but like, I'm kind of average. Or I used to be. She thinks I don't work as much anymore.
You can't outwork me.
I can't outwork Kass. Kass is a monster. But
two of you together, monsters. Yeah.
But focus on what the smartest people in the room are interested in.
That's great advice. So what was Buddy Media supposed to be? And then what I know is that you pivoted multiple times.
That's right.
So I both want to hear about the pivot, but I also want to hear about what it takes to know, oh, this isn't working. Like you said, Mike, I think you said, we love throwing away stuff.
We love it.
Yeah. So talk about what Buddy Media was supposed to be, either one of you.
Mike pitched me on the idea that we were going to create the social currency, like the Facebook currency, that big companies would want to come on and like use it. And I don't think I really thought it made any sense.
Sounds like an early Bitcoin, early crypto. When you say currency.
I mean, it was more of like Amex points for Facebook.
Okay, so that's
Like
actually,
reward
that is like
points.
crypto. Yeah.
But we didn't understand kind of monetary policy, and there became massive inflation, and no one wanted our currency. And we just kept having conversations with companies, and they said, we think Acebucks is what it was called, is an awful idea, but help us with Facebook. Like, we want to figure this thing out. I remember meeting with HBO, and a bunch of media companies were first, because they're in the information business. And we then said, okay, we'll help you. And we started building custom applications, and we were pretty successful with that.
Yeah.
And then
Cass
is like, you guys can't sell this anymore because it's not scalable. I can't find enough programmers to do it. We're building one-off
we
things.
had way too, our product roadmap for each set of engineers was just out the door. We couldn't get these things done fast enough. And I kept saying that to Mike, and then he had an idea.
Yeah, and so a board meeting, we were talking. It wasn't just my idea. In your seat was Eric Hippo, who at the time was working for SoftBank. Now he's at Lair Hippo Ventures. And we had a really heated discussion of like, how do we take this from a sales machine that could get a lot of custom work, like an agency, into a software company. And it's when we came up with the idea of like productizing it. So a lot of the functionality is the same. Send, recruit friends, post something, do a sweepstakes, like all these things that we were doing. So we invented something called Saplets, which are social applications, but they're small. They're like applets, like little applications. And you could piece them together to do your social marketing. And the big breakthrough was not just selling it direct to brands, but we went to ad agencies. And we said, here's a platform that you can make money from. And that's when Martin Sorrell and Publicis, the British and the French came in together and invested in us.
Finally,
which is one of the one of the only tech companies that both of them have done in the same round.
Yeah.
We didn't want to be a WPP company or a Publicis company or an Omnicom. We wanted all of them.
Yeah.
And what that did is it helped us scale because it not only brought in revenue, but the work was being done by the agencies.
Right.
So we didn't have to be heavy services.
So were you like, I still don't quite get it. So it was a B2B thing, and you were basically allowing companies to do kind of social
marketing.
It was social marketing and maybe commerce.
It was almost like a content management system.
Yes.
Okay, got it.
For these social networks.
Got it.
Facebook and this thing called Twitter at the time. It's been rebranded. And YouTube.
I've heard of
And
that.
if you think about it, like Unilever, right?
Yeah.
Think about how many different brands they have.
Yeah.
And then think about how many different people are on each brand and how many different security levels and permission levels. So our technology, thanks to Patrick Stokes and his team, they just built this amazing platform that every big brand could go on and then really figure out, how do I want to market to someone and what language?
Yeah.
Right. So if someone's English speaking, but they live in, South America, that would happen. And so this became the platform, and we were able to get like 9 out of the top 10 Fortune 500 brands.
Got it. Onto Facebook
Yes.
and other socials. That totally makes sense. So you're doing your thing, you're operating the business, and then you sold this to Salesforce. Like, what, Salesforce? Didn't see that coming. So like, how did that all come together? And talk about also, if I'm not mistaken, you had other term sheets in front of you, but you chose Salesforce. Like, how did that all come together?
Yes. So, well, first of all, we weren't trying to sell the business. We thought we were going public. We'd hired a woman named Susan St. Ledger, who was a top Salesforce executive, and she knew what we didn't know. We'd never built a software company.
Didn't you do that like with the guys like towards getting attention? Didn't you hire her kind of strategically?
Yes.
It was very strategic on my part.
Yes, and.
Okay.
And the and being like, we knew what we didn't know. Like we'd
sure, she was great.
We'd never scaled a sales team. Her whole career was building armies of salespeople.
Yeah.
And so we wouldn't have done it just as an FU to Salesforce, even though I liked that idea at the time. We desperately needed a leader. She was by far our number one choice, which is why we waited a year, dated her. It felt like flying out there, having dinners.
Getting grown-up clothes.
Kass had to get out of sweatpants. Susan, if anyone knows Susan St. Ledger, one of the great executives, she's gone on to do even much bigger things, HashiCorp and others. She dresses incredibly well.
Impeccable.
She wears a lot of Chanel.
Yeah. We all have to up our game sometimes.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so we're still scared of her to this day. But what happened, and there's a good lesson for all entrepreneurs, is build relationships with potential buyers just because it's the right thing to do well in advance. So I had relationships for years with executives at Salesforce and Google and Yahoo and Microsoft, which had a huge ad business at the time. Rick was running that business. And I started to feel heat. Like I'm getting calls like, oh, Mark Benioff wants to meet with you. Like, okay, I don't get that call often, right? And same from Google. We had an offer when we sold to Salesforce. We had an offer on the table, $100 million more from Google. And I later learned that they were willing to go much higher. We loved Salesforce. We still do. I love Mark Benioff, love the team. If you're in software, that was and is the place to be.
Yeah.
It's a bigger company now. It's gone from 16 billion market cap to 300 billion on the back of just incredible growth. They owned the sales team with their CRM product. They then launched Service Cloud. They owned Service. And what do you do before you get clients? You market. So Marketing Cloud was the next. And instead of just doing ad serving, he went after social, which was a wide open new thing.
So that's how you guys fit into the portfolio.
Yeah.
But I have to say, I don't think that you wake up every day and leave $100 million on the table. I don't,
So as a board, you have a fiduciary obligation as shareholders.
Right.
And so it's actually a very serious discussion. And I worked with John Lambros, who, a great banker in the space based in New York City, to get an opinion. And even though the money was higher, we were very concerned that everything Google was touching was getting stuck in Washington.
At the time.
They just bought a travel service, Sabre, the Sabre system.
Yep.
They were a year into that review with the Department of Justice.
Oh.
And so
you mean antitrust stuff.
Yes.
Yeah. And so we thought that they already own advertising. We ran the table in social. When I say run the table, it doesn't happen anymore. We got, in 3 years from the time we started selling the product, we got to 50 million of annual recurring revenue with 9 out of the top 10 global marketers. And these marketers are paying $5,000 a month. So, and we had a lot of customers. And so the idea that was going to be put in Google, it was going to be like, wait, well, you already own search, right? Like Google, was it. There was no Bing at the time. There were 100% basically market share, little Yahoo. And we just said, if this gets stuck for a year and we lose employees, we're in limbo.
Being in limbo when you're supposed to be acquired is actually very damaging.
Yeah, the momentum is
totally.
And there's zero risk in Salesforce.
Yeah.
They don't own anything in marketing.
Right. That was just going to work. That makes a lot. This was more pragmatic. Yeah. Cass, I think you said in the book that part of why you thought about this acquisition was that also it was like the business was affecting your family life.
Oh,
At least one of you said that.
I definitely did. I think, well, we probably both admit it. We had 3 when we started. So Viv had just been born, and Cole was 3, and Miles was 5. So we're doing this now 5 years, and we are barely there, right? Thank God we had incredible babysitters, but we are barely there.
Yeah.
And it's taking a toll. Bigger kids, bigger problems. And, our oldest was having some health issues. Our middle was getting in trouble, and he never got in trouble. Like, principals calling me, like, what's going on? And it was just time. It was time for one of us to get back. And Mark Benioff was gracious enough to allow me to go back, which was great.
Go back to home, stop working.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which, for the record, is way harder taking care of kids than any job. It is. It just is.
Yeah, totally. So, right. So you just realized the kids need a parent.
Yeah. I mean, when they're very little, my theory is a lot of people can love them. A lot of people can read to them. There's not big conflicts at school. You're talking like someone took your book and, like that kind of stuff, or toy. But when they get bigger, you start to see things, and we weren't there enough. And one of the things we've been lucky enough to see is because we have been there for the last 13, 14 years consistently since selling, Buddy Media, we've noticed that they actually have learned some things from us. Mm-hmm. And what we've done is led by example. Like, we could tell them 8 times out of 10 every single day, like, you got to work out, you got to work out. They don't care. But now we see them working out because they saw us working out. So lots of different things that I think we needed to get back to. And Mike stayed at Salesforce for, was it 3.5 years, 4?
Yeah, close to 4.
Yeah.
And loved it. I wasn't very healthy, which is why I left, but it's a great company.
Yeah. How did you feel about kind of fitting into a, because that, it was smaller than it is now, but
I loved it. I mean, big. I haven't, I don't think I've told this story, but very early on, Mark Benioff made it very clear. He said, I really want you at the company. You're a real leader. If we cut open our arms, we bleed entrepreneurship. I need that here. And you control your mental health and your mental outlook. He didn't understand why he'd pay these entrepreneurs all this money and they'd get mad at him. Like, he's trying to make their life miserable. Like, I'm going to pay you $1 billion and make you miserable. And Mark, he gets off on philanthropy, right? The 1-1-1 model, the integrated philanthropy. And he said, if you're not happy, just do something else. Come to me if you need another area. Like, you control your outlook. If you're miserable, that's on you, not me. I want you to be happy. And I remember I was like, oh, that's so great. Like, I'm almost like crying thinking about it. I'm like, that's like such a great outlook for anyone. Just like, I want you here. Come to me if you're not happy. And I was happy. Like, I did what I wanted to do. I moved around. I was chief strategy officer. I headed up, CMO for the marketing cloud for a while. I think I did good work. I also gained 30 pounds. And my cardiologist said I was going to die if I didn't get in better health. So I was like, at Salesforce, there's no like first gear, second gear. It's like, oh, Unilever's not happy. I'm flying to London, right? I'm going to dinners every night. I'm like
having drinks before the dinners.
And I'm in New York before they had a New York office. So if any customer needed love in New York, like big customer, they'd be like, oh, Laz, I'll take you to dinner. I'm like, why me? Like, why? And so we weren't as connected because I was so like I needed to like have a restart. At first, the company was like, just take some time off, but it became clear that I could have been there for a long time, but it's just not who I was. Like, I'm an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
And so I feel very good that I did more than I said I would do. I think left the marketing cloud in a better place. The business would have been challenged either way because Facebook was changing some of their algorithms and how they worked with Buddy Media type companies. So it was another lucky timing thing because I don't think we would have probably pivoted, but the business we had would have been impacted if we just had been a standalone company.
Yeah, it makes sense. All business trends at some point change, for sure. But I guess I'm curious, what advice specifically do you have because not everybody gets that speech from a Mark Benioff. What specific advice do you have for founders after they're acquired to kind of have a happy 2 years, 4 years, whatever it is inside the larger company?
So it's very hard, and I actually don't talk about it a lot because it's like first world problems, right? Like I can't talk to a lot of people about like those issues, but they're not that dissimilar than any other issues in business. And what I would say is that it's the same thing that Mark said to me, like your mental outlook is yours. You have a filter on. You're going to be pissed at your manager no matter who it is. And it's not fair for that manager that they're managing someone worth $300 million, like or whatever you're worth. They're working and they're your boss. Realize that is a weird dynamic.
Yeah.
Like they know you don't need to be there. They know you don't need anything. And they know you're going to get bitter. And what I say over and over again, you don't have to be happy, but just kill people with kindness. Like you're going to work with these people over the next 50 years of your career. You're going to need stuff. You're going to help them out. Do not carpet bomb anything. You're going to be pissed.
And we even saw that a lot when we did acquisitions. There was a lot of them that would come to us after they did the acquisition and their attitudes would totally change, like on a dime, like flipped. And I remember thinking, and he and I would always talk about this, like, did they not understand what this was? Because I over communicate everything and they would make it difficult. They would make it difficult for everyone there as if we were causing all this pain. And so I think it is a mindset thing.
And it all comes from ego.
Yes.
An identity that you are the man or the woman, you're the CEO, you're the founder, you're getting invited to all these like banker dinners and conferences. And, I won Ernst & Young Entrepreneur of the Year. Like we laud entrepreneurs, we put them on pedestals, and then you're just another worker. And so you just have to like be very cognizant of leaving that ego. And what happens when you make a lot of money, you think you know everything. And I'm not saying like we went through this, friends, you're like, oh, we must be brilliant. But we're the same schmucks we were beforehand. We don't know everything. We know very little. We knew how to build and sell a software product, which led to the outcome. And, learn. Go to a company and learn. I learned more in those almost 4 years about how to focus an organization, how to lead, how to communicate to investors. I was one of the kind of investor relations people in New York because I was here. And so use it as a way to learn stuff that you don't know. And I think what I learned as an employee makes me a better leader and manager now because it was the first time I was an employee. I was never an employee. I went to Northwestern, I started my companies, and I can feel what it's like not being communicated to. I can feel what it's like not having enough resources to do my job, right? So like just soak it in. Work 80% as hard as you were, like chill out a little. It's not hard to have a job after you're an entrepreneur. Totally. Because you're not worried about like we were always worried.
You're worried about payroll. You're not worried about like, am I pissing someone off in like, so it's like just, HR? Like,
just don't create issues. Chill out, learn, give.
And realize what you just got and be grateful. I think that's the other thing is that we were very grateful. And did we want to run this company for the rest of our lives? No. But we were grateful that someone really appreciated it.
Yeah, to the tune of $750 million.
Yeah.
What was it like to have money, like that kind of money, like genuinely, as we say, FU money, that like, because you didn't grow up that way, and also neither of you were like making ends meet. So what was it like to suddenly come into that kind of money?
We both kind of grew up on third base, first of all.
You did?
So
okay.
We did because, we had all of our education paid for.
Yeah.
I was a very trained athlete. So that meant lots of lessons and coaches and mental coaches. So I did have the opportunity, upper middle class family. But when we started everything, and we started dating and moving in together, we didn't have anything. And the only thing that we had, we had managed to save $30,000. That went into golf.com. So that was gone, right? We didn't have that anymore. And it's not like Mike's company UR, when it was acquired by Student Advantage, that also hit the tank when, the whole .com bubble burst. So the thought of more money, I think to me, it just meant we could have more experiences with our family because we had not really had any real vacations and we couldn't afford them. I think money provides comfort, but it shouldn't change anything. And then also I think what we've learned is it allows you to give more. So we've, gone really, really long into giving, especially Cycle for Survival.
What about you, Mike? Any thoughts about like what it's like to have that kind of money?
Yeah, so it's weird. Like the first year is weird because all of a sudden you have money and you're like, what do I buy? And you do everyone does stupid stuff.
What stupid thing did you do?
Well, we'd already bought, like right before the deal, we bought a house in Turks and Caicos. We loved Turks. We sold it during COVID. I don't think we bought anything crazy.
I think we bought a minivan. I love minivans.
Yeah, like we didn't buy anything crazy, but the house was like the biggest thing. And, we flew private a bunch of times. And
I think flying private is a good
but let me just say.
Minivan's a little like, come on.
Well, we had lots of kids and dogs.
Like, woo,
we had lots of kids. But
yeah.
you have to understand, like, flying private, that was to get to camp visiting day, which is, like, for the record out there for parents, the worst day ever. So it was to get, like, it was a convenience thing. It wasn't like, oh, we're going on vacation and taking a private jet. This was like, we have to go here to here to here.
Yeah.
I think
But the thing that's weird, what I was going to say, is it's actually how people treat you.
Oh, like, that's the difference.
Like, we didn't think we changed that much. Maybe we did, but, like, people kind of freak out in different ways. And
that's true.
Part of it is like an expectation. Some people, like they're super rich, they're going to pay for everything, which we usually do anyway. But that's more because we want to, like.
No, but we get that a lot still where, we had what we thought were friends, even since 2012, that just never offer, right? And things like that. So you're right, Mike. We do get a lot of.
And even family, like,
expectations.
Treats different, but it's. At the end of the day, it's all like it all buys freedom, which is what I like.
Yeah.
Like it gave us the freedom to go into investing. It gave us the freedom to, up our involvement in Cycle for Survival, which is really important to us. It gave us freedom to buy a healthcare staffing company. It gives us freedom to write a book and have a social media editor, right? Like a video editor.
Totally.
Which we realize is a luxury because most entrepreneurs, if they're on Instagram or TikTok, they're like cutting it up and doing it themselves.
For the record, I myself do it myself.
Yeah.
Yes.
So,
yes.
So I think we, it's kind of like we're at an event with Gary Vaynerchuk, very good friends. And he puts up like courtside seats to the Knicks, right? And someone bids up to $100,000 for the seats.
And they're like, going once, going twice.
Gary buys it for $125,000 just to buy his time back. Right? So like his success has given him the ability to buy back his time.
Yeah.
And I remember that was such a like lesson of like, oh, money buys time.
Yeah.
Like it does. And anyone who says that, money isn't good or bad. We have a lot of friends who've made a lot of money and lost a lot of money. One friend who made 200 million, lost it and made it again.
Wow.
Right? And it can cause people to do crazy things and to do bad things.
Yeah.
And so, we have a whole, what we recommend to our entrepreneurs who make a lot of money, which is kind of like, don't buy anything for a year. Find someone you trust to manage it, because just because you did well in the business doesn't mean you're like the world's greatest money manager.
Yeah.
You need someone to tell you no. And if you don't have someone to tell you no, like liquidity's low, like you could be very rich and not have a lot of money.
Cash
right?
poor.
You buy like a few houses, a plane, a boat, which we haven't done.
Right.
But all of a
Suddenly
sudden,
you're talking real money.
And especially in New York City, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Because talk to anyone in New York City, and even the people living in $50 million townhomes think that their place isn't big enough. Right? They're miserable.
Overextended.
Yeah. So it's
so
like,
funny.
it's you are who you are. Money can amplify the good and the bad.
Yeah. It's so funny you talk about the way people treat you, because I had Jim McKelvey on my podcast. He's the co-founder of Square, along with Jack Dorsey. And he said that when Square went public, he suddenly got taller, more handsome, and funnier.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can probably relate
We
to
were
that.
invited to a lot of things.
Yeah.
Yeah, and let's just say we had probably 30 to 40 invitations to galas that year.
Yes, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So you two keep each other grounded, I would also think. And I have to say, like, I know it must be that your marriage affects your businesses and your businesses affect your marriage.
Yeah.
Talk about that interplay.
So I think I am probably too grounded. Like I tend to be a hermit, and I'm.
I know because you bought a minivan.
Yeah, well, I love
winnings.
I love the organization of a minivan. The fact that it has all these compartments and the doors open, it's like I love it. But Mike pulls me out of that. Pulls me out of my shell. I'm an introvert, and I think he's way up in the sky, and we kind of pull each other in the correct ways. So it's just been a perfect yin yang, complementary like skill set and life in that sense. And like people always say like, oh, well, who does this? Well, like Mike's VP of religion, right? Like we have little titles for different things because then that's how we know who's got it, right?
And grocery shopping. She hates the grocery
I hate grocery shopping, and you hate laundry. So
so division of labor.
Yeah, division of labor, because it is a team at the end of the day. I think I'm way more team oriented in terms of my analogies probably than Mike, but
because of your sports background.
Yeah, sports background and just like the childhood I did.
Tennis and golf. They're not the like world's greatest team sports.
I also got recruited D1 for basketball. Thank you.
Okay, how did that go?
I didn't play.
Exactly.
I didn't go there. That was Davidson. I should have gone there. Anyway, so.
But you also need, I mean, a big part of us is also the me.
Oh, this is what Mike loves to talk about.
I don't love to talk about it, but like, I think a big part of, so we love each other and we like each other. We all have a lot of friends who who likes each other, right?
Oh yeah.
And there's a difference.
Totally.
Like, I don't doubt most people love their spouse, but do they like them? They've shared interests. They've shared vision. And so I got incredibly lucky there. She's an older woman who's much more. It's just a chronological fact.
I know enough. I know enough about you to know that you love saying that.
I do, but like I got someone who really is responsible in a way that I'm not. And I've learned a lot from that. I also like to do crazy things. I like to go see the band Fish. I like to see all sorts of live music. I like adventures. I like, if you ask me to do something that's crazy, yeah, let's go.
I'm kind of like. He took our middle son for his 21st birthday this past weekend on a really great golf trip. And everyone's like, oh my God, it was like Mother's Day. How did you do that? I'm like, I had a perfect Mother's Day. I was alone with my dogs. Like it was brilliant. It was silence with my dogs. It was like brilliant.
So that works for both of you.
It does.
Yeah, that's really great. So how was it though for you to write the book together? Because that
harder.
Yeah.
Same lane.
You got to go there.
Yeah, same lane.
So same lane. And I think Mike would say, so he didn't want to write a book. Here's the journalism major not wanting to write a book. I wanted to write a book. I also wanted to get it. I thought it would be better to get it out and quicker to get it out that way than doing a podcast.
Yeah.
And podcasts seem like a lot of work. And
newsflash, they are.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of work. And it feels like a deadline all the time. And that would just make me crazy.
It does.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
And so we wanted to do this. And I had kept of the
hang on. We wanted to do this. Not really. You wanted to do this. But you didn't want to do this.
Yes.
At first, it wasn't on my bucket list. I wasn't totally against it, but like, I went to journalism school. I'm the writer. So when we say we're writing a book,
wait a second. That's
in my
not
mind,
true.
it's like, oh, you're writing the book.
Well, wait, but you know that.
I'm trying to incite a fight here. Yeah.
No. So we did fight at the beginning.
Yeah.
Because it was very awkward to do something together. Like the companies, like
rather than having division of labor.
Yeah.
Because you'd always had division of labor.
And the communication around writing was not what I had hoped for.
I'm only laughing.
Because I did most of the writing to start, and Kass's editing would be, I don't like it. I'm like, okay, that's okay. Tell me what you don't like. It's just not doing it for me.
But that was the beginning. You have to understand. I'd kept all the lessons.
No like feedback. Like, I'd kept
all the lessons over the last 30 years of working.
You were just taking notes.
Well, I kept them in like a memo, like a note on my computer, and I kept them all. And so probably like 10 of the 14 chapters, I already had the bullet points and the outlines and knew what they would be about. So I would scaffold it and I'd do very detailed bullets, and I'd try to come up as best as I could with, I'm also dyslexic for the record, try to come up with like the topic sentence and the concluding sentence. And then Mike would help, and I'd say to him, like, here are all the stories, and then he'd help to like bring it to life. And then I'm a great editor. So then after that, we do it and we go back and forth. It took us probably a month to find our rhythm. And then after that...
And the voice was hard.
Yeah, because we kept trying to figure out how to share it. And then after that, we ended up writing it in 3.5 months.
Yeah. So kind of once you found your rhythm.
Yeah, we got a chapter.
And then no one sells books. Like,
That's
there's no like agency, so you have to sell the book yourself. So then we're like, okay, now we have a third job.
Then I'm like,
I mean, when you say no agency, I mean that's the whole thing. You write the book, and then now no one tells authors that you have to now go promote.
You got to go and like,
and you have to figure out how to get to sales. And I kept going every night. I'm like, I'm looking at the numbers.
Like a quota.
I'm like, Mike, go sell. He would be like, I'm tired. I'm like, get back in there.
I'm surprised your friend Gary Vaynerchuk didn't tell you that.
I mean, listen.
I think things would happen with Gary, though. He has a huge audience and a whole army that if he pressed a button, they would buy something.
But
that's true.
What's been great is you know who your friends are, as you probably realize. When you write a book, you know who really is pulling for your success and who
will actually do things about it.
And who are the convenient friends. When one of our friends writes a book, we buy 100 copies.
Yeah.
Because...
Now you know how important it is.
And we always did it because it's like if they are going to be, I think, put in the effort and be vulnerable and add their story to the world's knowledge, like it's kind of an important thing for someone. Now we realize how important it feels.
Yeah.
And it's not just buying the books, but we did a 3-hour live stream with Gary, National Shovel Day, which is a holiday we made up. It's on National Garden Day, and we got dressed up as farmers, and we sold a lot of books.
Yeah,
I mean, and so that like and the thing about Gary is he gave us so much in this book, not only helping us think through it, but actually team and Maha, who's we love Maha, who ran comms for him. It's how we got
Laura,
here.
Rachel, and Jackie.
But it all started when he showed up at the Buddy Media office, and he didn't have money for an office. And so this little kind of what we thought was little, like help that we gave this young entrepreneur, he's a little younger than us, turned like into this full circle moment where we're in his office, $500 million of revenue company doing a live stream when he started in an office no bigger than this studio, which was our little conference room on 60th and in Columbus on, right by Columbus Circle.
Yeah.
So pay it. The more you give, the more you're going to get.
And that's one of the lessons in the book, I think. Yeah. You sort of said, I think it was answer every email.
Right.
Which I wasn't good at, and now I am a little better, but it's...
But you don't know where these things lead to.
And build the relationships.
Build the relationships.
And don't build them just to be transactional.
Right.
That's the big part.
Totally. So another relationship, Mike, that I know you talked about is with Jonathan. So you two are co-founders in work and life, but you also had another co-founder that didn't go so well. And so tell us that story.
Yeah, so we didn't, this book is our cheat codes. It's raw, it's honest. And love that. I had an epic failure. And there were two pieces of information we didn't know how to handle. One was my dad had massive mental health issues with his business. It led to some bad decisions, bankruptcy, and I learned a lot about mental health. I covered it from my lived experience. Mm-hmm. It's not my story to tell, but how it impacted me at 13 years old with your dad in the hospital for mental health issues kind of like leaves a mark. And the other is I started a company with a friend who is an artist, Jonathan Kramer, a very successful artist. He's sold, his paintings for over $1 million. He makes incredible sculpture, and he invented a new language. And it was a language based on the 8 basic shapes that populate the world. And he dissected them, put them together, and it's 2D and 3D and numbers, and has applications in cryptography and all these and I love it. I mean, I helped him for years, and after Salesforce, I had enough I think, hubris to think that, oh, I could do this, right? We don't know who the customer is. We don't know if we could work together. But I can do this, right? Because I'm a successful entrepreneur. And we raised 12 million, and we've worked on it since 2017. We're still working on it. I left the company because we couldn't work together. We didn't talk about whether we were a fit as co-founders, and turns out we're not. And it's his system, so I left. But it's been a huge failure. And who you pick as a co-founder is more important, I think, in many ways, than what you decide to do. You could always pivot the business. It's very hard to pivot a co-founder.
Yeah.
And if you don't get that right, you're screwed. And it showed me how lucky I have been to have this lady
This broad
as my best friend, lover, and business partner my whole life, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, it's truly another lucky gift that I happened to go to this wedding that we met.
Do you have tears in your eyes again?
A little bit.
Oh, that's sweet.
It's really cute, Mike.
Yeah, no, it's true.
You really feel it. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. He is very sappy. It's very cute.
I think that's very sweet. And I think that, the notion of like really finding your beloved, really.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's so sweet.
And it's where people's misery comes from.
Yes.
They pick the wrong partner.
Oh, big time.
And then when you pick the wrong partner, you don't perform at work.
Yeah.
And now you're like miserable at home, you're poor, depressed. Like, that stresses me out.
Yeah.
And so, like, whenever someone goes to get married, I'm like, are you sure? Double check this.
Right. I actually, in my book, From Startup to Grown Up, I have a co-founder prenup.
Mm-hmm.
So, because you have to really talk, what I say, and I can know you guys can relate, is that when you have a co-founder, you have a marriage.
It
and
is.
It's either going to be a good marriage or a bad marriage, but you need to talk out some of these difficult things in advance before
especially
you
like
make that
work
commitment.
ethic. Why you are doing this? Like, what do you see happening? Like, do you see yourself doing this for a year? Most companies take 10 years to have some kind of meaningful exit. You have to have all that.
Yeah, it's so true. So how do you have those conversations? What advice do you have for both of you, either of you?
We always tell all the founders that, I do a lot of the due diligence for our investment deals in terms of people. And I often try in very kind of sly ways to ask those kind of questions to each of the founders just to see if they're on the same page.
What kinds of questions do you ask?
So, I don't want to give them away because then they'll
They're
actually...
all in the book.
They're mostly in the book. But I'm trying to basically figure out where their headspace is.
Yeah.
And if they understand that this is not going to be a quick thing, just because AI is out now, or like social media was out, or the internet was out, and all the different decades we worked, it doesn't mean that there's going to be like a 2 to 3 year turnaround and you're going to make a ton of money. I want to see that they know what they don't know, and I want to see them ready to shovel, right? To do the hard work every single day.
Mm-hmm. So big for you is work ethic.
Yes,
they have a matched work ethic.
No, I don't want to hear shortcuts. Mm-hmm. I don't want to hear someone who's always trying to find a shortcut. Mm-hmm. There are no shortcuts in entrepreneurship. You have to do the reps. Like, we didn't do this in 3 years. We've done it in 30 years.
Yeah, for sure.
But I think the biggest co-founder question is, what do you do? Tell me what you do. Because if there's overlap, it's an immediate red flag. So if you have 2 engineers, you're going to be fighting about, do we use like this technology or this? Should we build this first?
Or the roadmap. You'll be like, yeah.
So we really like when there are 2 people who could cover a lot of ground, because you're going to have to do a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And so if I had to do all the incorporation, all the legal work, all of like the HR stuff, it would have taken me away from the customers, the product, the raising the money.
Which is what your skill set is.
Yeah. And then what I got wrong with Jonathan was basically, how commercial do you want this to be? This was his invention. Is this a research project or a company? How hard are you going to work? Because he was also doing art, and these things take focus.
Yeah.
And what are some of the values that are important to you? And for me, I could list them we've talked about it, right? Like hard work, transparency, trust. Like, if I say to Kass, I'm going to do something, it's done. until she reminds me again. But like, you know, it's basically, will you do what you say you're going to do?
Yeah.
At the highest level. I'm not saying I forget some stuff. And we never had that conversation, Jonathan and I, because we were friends for a while. We liked spending time together. And it led to not only a lost company, but a lost friendship.
Yeah.
He's not very happy because we did have a prenup. And the prenup was that I control the budget because I'm raising all the money. He has veto rights over some of the technology decisions. And, you know, it forced me to make some decisions on the budget to save cash, which weren't, let's just say, they weren't popular decisions, but they were important.
Yeah, totally makes sense. Right. My prenup is more about having those questions around values and around work ethic.
Yes,
you know, what happens if someone's scaling and someone's not scaling and those kinds of things. And I think it's so important, but very challenging to have those conversations in advance.
It's awkward. Well, it's like basically getting married without knowing, like, are you going to have kids?
Right.
Are you going to raise them a certain religion? Do you care about religion? What about money? How do we want to split our finances?
Totally.
And when you have a co-founder that works, do a lot of companies with them. Like, seriously, don't, like, it's very rare to find a co-founder that you'll spend all your days with, that you like, that you're successful with.
That's true.
And the other concept that I really like these days is do stuff that you know. So, you know, I have a friend who's done a bunch of customer service software, and they did like 3 different versions.
Great.
And they kept selling one to Salesforce and then build a new one and a new one. And that's a pretty good model. Work with the same people, do kind of the same things, and good things happen.
Yeah. Is there anything else you think about it? You're wearing a liquid death cap because that's one of your investments. I know you also invested in, I think it's Scopely, which was sold for, is it right, $5 billion? Not a bad day's work on that. What else, how many investments do you have? Like, you have like 100 investments?
At least,
A lot.
100 in like tech or like venture.
And are you on the boards? How does that kind of work? How do you handle investors in terms of like picking deal flow? I can imagine, but like picking who you want to invest in, and then how you kind of organize yourselves.
So we get deal flow because we're entrepreneurs.
Sure,
and
that makes sense.
Our reputation is based on doing stuff. So do we help you hire? Do we help you
market,
reorg? Do we help you build a marketing team? Like, we're not going to do the work, but like, and so we take a lot of pride in being able to accelerate them. Like, oh, we have a great person. Like, you know, there was one of our greatest employees, Miles Klieger, was who's a customer and then one of our sales leaders. And we'd invest in this company called AppBoy. And AppBoy's a great company. They rebranded to Braze. Right as they were rebranding, they were looking for like a go-to-market head. And so I helped recruit Miles because we'd worked so well together. We were an early investor in Mark Gurmesian and his company. And like, that is so helpful for a company. It's now a public company. It's a $5 billion public company. Miles is president. He built the whole like go-to-market thing at the company, the whole org. And that is like, we believe it to be God's work. Like, if you could help entrepreneurs move faster by getting the best people, if they get an offer, how do we help get multiple offers? How do we help them fundraise? How do we help them lay off people? Because we've done a lot of like layoffs. And so we get deal flow from reputation with co-investors and with entrepreneurs. So the best ones are like, when an entrepreneur is successful, they come back. Right? Or like, yes, like that's someone we want to back. And we outline in the book something called the Go Gauge, which is a very simple framework we use to look at investments. And it comes down to, what's the product? Why is it different? You know, so it's got to be somewhat different. How are people going to find out about it? A lot of people don't really talk about marketing. How are you going to distribute it? How many customers there are. We don't like market size because it hides a lot. We like how many specific customers are there, and then multiply it by like average revenue per customer. Yeah. I remember in the golf.com deck, it was a huge industry, $80 billion. We didn't own a golf course. So that's 60 billion of it, right? We didn't own a golf club manufacturing facility. So that's another 8 billion. We didn't sell golf balls. So like, our market was actually very small. And smart investors knew that. That's why we got 100 no's. So we look at very it's hard to build a big business without a lot of customers who could buy your product. And then the final one, the 6, is do the finances make sense on the back of a napkin? Not like a huge financial package
unit economics.
But does it make sense? Does it pass the smell test?
Yeah.
Because you're gonna, especially early stage, you're gonna definitely pivot and figure out your pricing with customers. But what we know is if it doesn't work in a spreadsheet to begin with, it probably will never work. So does it kind of smell right?
Yeah. Yeah. That is really helpful. And that is in the book, that framework.
Yes.
The Go Guide, the Go framework. It's crushing to me that we're running out of time. And I want to make sure.
I'm free till 9 p.m.
I appreciate that. We might keep talking. I want to ask you my final traditional question.
Okay.
So 3 questions, and you guys can take them together or separately.
Okay.
Have you ever suffered from imposter syndrome or severe self-doubt?
Yes, I do it all the time.
Yeah.
All the time. Sometimes I will catch myself in a meeting where I'm giving a really smart entrepreneur, someone who's way smarter than me in an industry that I know nothing about, some kind of advice on a process, on operations, which, yes, I have expertise in. And then it'll hit me that why am I the one telling him this? They're so much smarter. Happens all the time.
Yeah. How do you handle that?
I think it's grounding and kind of deep breaths and just remembering that, when you offer advice or your help, that's where I feel sometimes, I got to remember who I am. It's very specific. I'm never going to say I'm an expert in X, Y, and Z. I'm an expert in starting companies and running them. Mm-hmm. Okay. And pickleball maybe. And so pickleball for a 55-year-old, but that's it. Right. And so I think that's what does it, is I just kind of reframe.
That's helpful. How about you, Mike? Did you ever experience imposter syndrome?
I did at the beginning. I remember a U-Wire, I was a student, and I went down to meet with the Chicago Tribune, and I'm like, why would they ever want to work with me? Some of those people I met with, I'm still in touch with. I quickly learned that everyone's kind of making it up.
Yeah.
No one really knows anything.
It's so true.
It is.
It is so true.
And I learned that because we were doing internet stuff before anyone knew internet stuff. And I remember talking to USA Today and Boots Ray Keel. I don't know if you remember him at USA Today. And I was like, they really don't know anything about the internet. They don't know. They know how to print an incredible newspaper, but they know nothing else.
Right.
And so it's kind of, I think entrepreneurs need to realize that no one knows anything until they know anything.
And then you got to jump.
And that's not a reason not to get started.
Right. That's beautiful. And this is a question for each of you. What do you wish you had known earlier on your journey?
I think I wish I had known what I know now, which is you are never going to be able to give it your all in every single area. Your friendships, your family, your partnership, and your kids. And I think the immense guilt that I had at all times, thinking that I was failing in all the other areas, I think what you realize as an entrepreneur is you can only do one thing well at a time. And you're going to have different phases where you're going to be able to give that unbelievable amount of intense focus in different phases. And that's okay. And we have 3 amazing kids who we were convinced were suffering the whole time. And they're actually great.
That's
actually great.
Very
And they got to see, their mom work really hard.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Mike, how about you? What do you wish you'd known earlier in your journey?
I think I've turned focus into a superpower, and I've wasted a lot of time because I get excited. I go down rabbit holes, and very rarely do I come up with whatever rabbits are looking for in rabbit holes. I don't know what the purpose is.
We never really know what rabbits are looking for.
I know.
That's a very good question.
So I come up and I'm like, oh yeah, that didn't work. Or even worse, I'll launch a company without telling Kass, which I've done. And then I'm like, why? I'm such an idiot. I just spent $5,000 on incorporation and I bought all this stuff. I'm now maniacal with the companies we work with about what are your top 3 priorities? How do you know that how are you going to know that you are successful? What are those metrics? And And that, to me, it's what it's all about. Are you focused on the right things? Are you focused on too many things? Because it could be the right things, but you just can't do them. And are there things you should be focused on that are going to bite you in the behind if you don't focus?
That's great. That kind of brings us to the last question, which is, what advice do you have for other founders as they embark on their journeys to grow into leaders?
I would say the first thing is, radical transparency, that information is your friend and there should not be a wall between you and your team. You just tell them the truth, tell them the good, the bad, the ugly, no surprises.
Love it. Mike, what about you?
I don't want to sound self-serving, but every company that we invest in will get Shoveling Shit a Love Story. Mm-hmm. Because we realized that it was these lessons that helped us build confidence. With confidence, you will make better decisions. You will be able to tune into your gut and the data. And there are 50 cheat codes that we used, that we learned the hard way, most of them. And if you can build that confidence, you can then operate in this world of fear, uncertainty, and doubt, which will always be there. You'll never get rid of. And you'll not only be confident at work, you'll be confident at home, because you'll be able to prioritize things without saying it's either or, which we're not saying you can do everything at once, but you can do anything that you prioritize. And if you don't prioritize certain things like relationships, your health, they will disintegrate. And so in the book is kind of not only how to build businesses, but how to build a life that you actually want to live, which I think is even more important.
Love it. The cheat code. Everybody, Shoveling Shit, a love story about the entrepreneur's messy path to success. Pick it up starting in June, and you're going to really benefit from it. You guys, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having us. Thank you.
Loved it.
Yay!
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. You guys are so fun.
Thanks.
I feel like I have new best friends.
Let's hang.
It's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
We're empty nesters in the fall, so we're
There
saying
you
yes.
go.
Yeah.
I love
Where do you
it.
live?
I live on the Upper West Side.
So do we.
Oh, 200 Riverside Boulevard and
We're right there.
70th. No.
So
We're at 61st
Stop
and Riverside
it.
Boulevard.
Well, oh, are you in that great building?
Not the Alden.
What is the Waterstone or the Waterline?
No,
Oh,
the
we're
apartments were
right next
great.
to it.
Yeah.
The
We're 50
apartments were not
Riverside.
good. They were
50
weird. They were
Riverside.
very
We looked at
weird,
that
and
building.
they had
Did
these
you?
weird corners, and
Yeah.
you couldn't fit furniture in.
Yeah.
So the park's there.
Yeah.
That's that building in
Yeah.
the park, and we're right here.
Oh my God, amazing.
Yeah.
Neighbors, look at that.
Look at us.
I live in two places, to be honest. Riverside Boulevard and also, God help me, Montclair, New Jersey.
Okay.
Because there was a
We love
global
Montclair.
Pandemic. Yeah.
And I moved in with my boyfriend
Yeah, we
for
love
just a couple of weeks until it all blew over.
Couple of weeks. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
now he put a ring on it.
I was
I was gonna
say.
say.
Yeah, thank
It's
you.
either he ain't a
Yeah.
boyfriend, he's a husband, or he ain't around.
That's right. That's right.
I love that.
So yeah, so it's
Congrats.
worked out. Thank you. It's worked out very well, and I appreciated what you said about we like each other, we love each other, because you can be in rooms with people who it's like, whoa, not a relationship I would want.
Oh, it happens, and now
Right?
we're like,
Not only that, it happens to your friends.
I
That's
know.
the problem.
well, the first
I
10
know.
years of like your friendships, like no one talks about their spouses.
Yeah.
And then at some point it all comes out.
I
And so they're
know.
like,
I
she did that.
know.
I'm like, then leave. There's nothing else.
No,
like,
totally, and it's so terrible because people have all this like stuff, and people haven't worked out their issues. That's the
their
thing. They
own
don't talk
baggage.
about their
Yes.
stuff
Yeah.
and like whatever. It's very challenging.
Cass
yeah.
is very aggressive. So I know where I
Aggressive.
I know where I
Can you
sit
not
at
just
all.
leave it as aggressive?
To
Can
me,
you-
it's like looking in the mirror.
Yeah.
I
No,
totally
but I
get
like
you.
that. I
Yeah.
appreciate it.
Yeah.
Like I know where I stand. There's no like ambiguity.
I would say it took Eric a little bit of time to appreciate my aggressiveness.
Well, we're 28 years, so
That's right. That's right.
hopefully this we got to get rid of that.
We're recording the whole
Please
thing.
don't use that.
Yeah, exactly. Don't worry, we're not using that.
I'm gonna have to burn this camera.
No, don't worry. So a couple of things. I want to make sure we do a quick little LinkedIn video
Yes.
before we
Okay.
leave, and I want to hold your book up. And about the recording, etc. Oh my gosh. I will send. I don't. You tell me. Is there anything that you guys are concerned about? Like we want to take a look at it before
Nothing.
we.
No.
Okay. So
This
I
is
will.
your content.
Okay, I just want to make sure that you're
Yep,
comfortable.
all
So I always
good.
want to send it to people before so
Yep.
that they're comfortable. Okay, except for this last part. We won't include this last
Yeah.
part.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay,
there's nothing to
good.
send us.
And I'm going to try to. I have a schedule which is every other week.
Yep.
So we're publishing next week, and so I should be able to get this out right around your book launch.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah,
That's
totally.
so great. Thank
Is there
you.
anything else I can do to help you?
If you just give us the files and
Yeah, of
audio
course I
when you
will.
can earlier, we can get ours ready so that the minute
Yeah.
we can then tag you and do the
Well,
same
how
thing.
can we
Totally.
help your business? I mean, it seems like we have a lot of founders who should
Oh,
be
yeah.
talking to you.
Yeah, well, thank you. I appreciate that. I brought a copy of my book for you, which
Great.
I'm going to sign
Thank
for you
you.
and send
Thank
and
you.
give you on your way. I appreciate that. I mean, I'm a coach. I coach founders and others, and I do offsites and facilitation.
Great.
Should we
and
do
programs and
anything
whatnot.
with, like I just did something with UBS, which was like pre-exit planning for
Yeah.
founders, and they got some customers out of it. Like,
Well,
would you ever want to do something like that?
Totally. I love that kind of stuff. So the work that what I really focus on is leadership.
Leadership, yeah.
Yeah, so it's about culture, it's about delegation,
Great.
it's about also like it's really scaling, right? Especially as you
Yeah.
grow and as you know the playbook that,
Yeah.
that worked yesterday doesn't work anymore. All those kinds of topics.
Awesome.
Yeah, I'd love to do anything.
Because if we want
relevant.
to do both with our venture companies, we have the Founders Farm. Like it could be an interesting if you market like that. Like if you'd want to like get in front of
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
Because
yeah,
like
totally
we have a
work like that.
community
It's
that
also fun.
we get a community.
no,
I enjoy it.
We do this community called Founders Farm, and everyone comes
Founders
on
Farm is
every other
great.
2 weeks. And you wouldn't believe this stuff, and you can tell the people that need some coaching.
But
Yeah,
this would
totally.
be more of like
I know.
the venture.
I know, but
founders
still.
and the bigger founders.
Yeah.
Mike, we have to head out, so
Oh,
let's
God,
do
you have to
this
go.
because we have to get.
You got things to do.
Get back downtown by 5:15.
You have to go.
Okay. Well, they're in Midtown.